During Christmas dinner my parents declared you're not important to us anymore. So I nodded politely, walked out quietly, and stopped paying the $250,000 medical bills that were saving Mom's life. Hey lovely people. Subscribe to be part of this family and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. With that, let's continue the story. I stared at the Christmas turkey centerpiece, my hands trembling as I gripped my wine glass. The crystal chandelier above cast dancing shadows across my parents' dining room, the same room where I'd celebrated every milestone they'd bothered to acknowledge. My mother's laugh, sharp and dismissive, cut through the holiday music playing softly in the background. Seriously, Maya just doesn't understand what real success looks like, my younger sister Amber said, twirling her engagement ring for the millionth time that evening. My parents nodded enthusiastically, my father raising his glass in agreement. I'd driven 4 hours through a snowstorm to be here. I'd left my apartment at dawn, stopped at 3 different stores to find Mom's specific brand of imported chocolates, and wore the red dress she'd bought me last year because she said it made me look presentable. Maya's job is just adorable, Mom added, her voice dripping with condescension. Playing around with numbers all day. Not like Amber's position at the firm. I'm a senior financial analyst at a major investment company. I make 6 figures. But somehow, my achievements always dissolved into nothing when placed next to Amber's legal career or my brother Derek's medical practice. I actually got promoted last month, I said quietly, setting down my fork. I'm now managing a team of 12 people. The table fell silent for exactly 3 seconds before Derek cleared his throat. That's nice, sis. Anyway, Dad, about that golf trip to Scottsdale. And just like that, I vanished again. The invisible daughter. The forgotten one. The financial safety net they never acknowledged. If only I'd known that by midnight, everything would shatter. 3 months earlier, I'd received a call that changed everything. My mother's voice had been weak, frightened. A tone I'd never heard from the woman who'd raised me with an iron fist and impossible standards. Maya, honey, I need you. Those 4 words had sent me racing to the hospital at 2 in the morning, my heart pounding against my ribs. When I arrived, the doctor's face told me everything before his words did. Stage 3 pancreatic cancer, he'd said, his hand on my shoulder. Aggressive. We caught it, but treatment will be extensive and expensive. Even with insurance, you're looking at significant out-of-pocket costs. I'd sat in that sterile waiting room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and made a decision. Whatever she needs, I told him. Whatever it takes. Nobody asked me to do it. My father made good money as an engineer, but their retirement funds were tied up in properties and investments. Derek was drowning in student loans. Amber had just bought a house. So I'd stepped up like I always did and opened my savings account without hesitation. $250,000. That's what I'd paid over 3 months. Chemotherapy, radiation, experimental treatments, private nurses, the best oncologist in the state. I'd liquidated my investment portfolio, emptied my savings, taken a loan against my 401k. Every 2 weeks, I'd drive to their house with groceries, medication, and a smile. I'd sit with Mom during her bad days, holding her hand while she threw up, listening to her fears about dying. And not once, not a single time had she thanked me. Everyone, I have news. Amber's voice rang out like a bell, pulling me from my thoughts. She stood up, her fiancé Marcus rising beside her, his hand protectively on her lower back. The whole family leaned in, eager and attentive in a way they never were when I spoke. We're pregnant. Amber squealed and chaos erupted. Mom actually screamed with joy, tears streaming down her face as she rushed to embrace Amber. Dad pulled out his phone immediately, already calling relatives to spread the news. My baby's having a baby. Mom sobbed, her face pressed against Amber's shoulder. This is the best Christmas present ever. Nothing could top this. I watched from my seat, my congratulations drowned out by the celebration. I was happy for her, truly. But the ache in my chest grew wider, deeper. Would they ever celebrate me like this? And that's not all, Derek announced, standing up with his girlfriend Jennifer. We're getting married in June. Jen and I are thinking a destination wedding. Something elegant. Expensive but worth it. He grinned at our parents expectantly. Of course we'll help pay for it. Dad exclaimed immediately. Anything for my son. My successful doctor son. I felt something crack inside me. The same parents who told me they couldn't help with my college loans because I'd chosen a practical major instead of something prestigious, were offering blank checks to Derek. How wonderful. Mom clasped her hands together. Both my babies starting beautiful new chapters. All 3 of your children, I said softly. Nobody heard me. After dinner, I found myself helping Mom with the dishes. Another task that always fell to me while Amber and Derek lounged in the living room, their laughter echoing through the house. Mom, I started carefully, handing her a plate to dry. I wanted to talk about the medical bills. I've been covering everything and I'm running low on. Oh Maya, she interrupted, her tone already annoyed. Must you always talk about money? It's Christmas. My throat tightened. I know, but I've paid nearly $250,000 for your treatment. I just need to discuss a repayment plan because I've depleted my savings and... She set down the plate with a sharp clink. We never asked you to do that. That was your choice. Your decision. Nobody forced your hand. The words hit me like ice water. You called me crying. You said you needed me. The doctor said without treatment. Yes, well, Derek was going to handle it eventually, she said dismissively, waving her hand. He's a doctor. He understands these things better. You just jumped in without asking anyone. I stood frozen, soap suds dripping from my hands. Derek hasn't paid a single dollar. Because he's establishing his career. He has student loans, responsibilities. You're just... She paused, searching for words that would cut deep enough. You're just doing fine on your own. You don't have a family to support. No husband, no children. What else would you spend your money on? The casual cruelty of it stole my breath. Besides, she continued, we need to focus on helping Amber and Derek now. Real family milestones. Important things. Real family milestones. Important things. Not me. Never me. Dad called everyone into the living room for what he termed a family meeting. My stomach churned as I took a seat on the far end of the couch, somehow knowing that whatever came next would hurt. Your mother and I have been discussing our estate planning, Dad began, his reading glasses perched on his nose. Given the new developments, Amber's pregnancy and Derek's upcoming wedding, we've made some decisions. He pulled out a folder, official-looking documents visible inside. Mom sat beside him, her hand resting on his knee, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. The same woman I'd held while she vomited from chemotherapy. The same woman whose life I'd saved with my life savings. We're revising our will, Mom announced. The house will go to Derek since he'll need the space for his new family. Our investment properties will be divided between Derek and Amber. The retirement accounts will be split between them as well. I felt my heart stop. And what about me? Dad didn't even look up from his papers. Well, Maya, you're stable. You have a good job. You don't need the help that your siblings will need as they start their families. We figured you'd understand. Understand. My voice cracked. I just paid $250,000 for Mom's cancer treatment. I emptied my entire savings, my investments, everything I'd built for 10 years. Again with the money talk. Mom snapped, her face twisting with irritation. So crass, Maya. So inappropriate. This is about family, not transactions. Amber shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Derek examined his fingernails, avoiding my gaze. We've decided, Dad continued, his voice firm, final, that given your situation, unmarried, no children, no immediate plans for family, you're simply not a priority for our legacy planning. Amber and Derek need our support more. The words hung in the air like poison. You're not a priority. After everything. After sacrificing my future. After being the daughter who always showed up, always helped, always tried. I wasn't a priority. I stood up slowly, my legs shaking beneath me. The room seemed to tilt and spin, the Christmas lights blurring into streaks of red and green. My chest felt tight, compressed, like someone had wrapped steel bands around my ribcage. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, I said, my voice remarkably steady despite the earthquake happening inside me. I paid for Mom's cancer treatment. All of it. $250,000. I saved her life. And now you're telling me that I don't matter enough to be included in your will. It's not about mattering, Dad said, finally looking at me with those cold, practical eyes. It's about need. Derek and Amber need the support. You don't. Because I sacrificed everything to save Mom's life. My voice rose, years of silence finally breaking. I don't have savings because I gave them to you. I don't have investments because I liquidated them for Mom's treatment. I'm not financially secure anymore because I chose to save my mother's life. Lower your voice, Mom said sharply. You're being dramatic. This is exactly why we made this decision. You're too emotional, too unstable. Derek and Amber are reasonable, mature adults. Something inside me died in that moment. Some last, desperate hope that maybe they'd loved me all along, that maybe I just imagined the favoritism, the neglect, the constant dismissal. Answer me this, I said quietly, tears now streaming down my face. If I hadn't paid for the treatment, would you have survived? Mom's face flushed. That's manipulative. Answer the question. Dad sighed heavily. Probably not. The cancer was aggressive. Without immediate treatment, the prognosis was 6 months, maybe less. So I saved your life. And we're grateful. Are you? I interrupted, my voice sharp as broken glass. Are you really? Because gratitude looks like acknowledgement. Looks like repayment. It looks like including your daughter in your will after she literally saved your life. Amber finally spoke up, her voice hesitant. Maya, maybe you're overreacting. Stay out of this, I said, not even looking at her. We need to be honest with you, Maya, Mom said, standing up to face me. Her color had returned since the treatment. The rosy cheeks, the bright eyes, the healthy glow. All because of me. You've always been difficult. Even as a child. Never quite fitting in with the family dynamic. Always wanting attention, always needing validation. I laughed, a bitter sound that didn't sound like me. I wanted my parents to love me. That's not needing attention. That's basic human need. We do love you, Dad said, but his tone was perfunctory, rehearsed. But love doesn't mean enabling dependency. You need to stand on your own 2 feet without expecting rewards for every little thing you do. Every little thing? I repeated slowly. Every little thing. I saved her life. And we appreciate that, Mom said, her voice cooling. But that doesn't mean we owe you our entire estate. That's not how family works. Then how does family work, Mom? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, family looks like one daughter sacrificing everything while 2 golden children get celebrated for existing. Derek stood up, his doctor's authority coding his words. Maya, you're being irrational. Mom and Dad have the right to distribute their assets however they see fit. It's their money, their decision. You're not entitled to anything. I'm not asking for everything. I'm asking for acknowledgement. For equality. For the same consideration you're both getting despite the fact that I'm the only one who actually saved Mom's life. Enough. Dad's voice boomed through the room. This is our final decision, Maya. We've discussed it extensively and we agree that Amber and Derek are our priorities right now. You've had plenty of support over the years. Name one time, I challenged. One time you supported me financially, emotionally, any way that actually mattered. The silence was deafening. Exactly, I whispered. Not once. Not ever. I paid for my own college. My own car. My own apartment. My own life. And then I paid for yours. Mom's face hardened into stone. If you're going to be bitter about helping your own mother stay alive, then maybe we've been right about you all along. Say that again, I said quietly, my voice dropping to something dangerous. Say that again so I can make sure I heard you correctly. Mom lifted her chin, defiant. I said, if you're going to throw your financial help in our faces like some kind of martyr, then maybe we were right to never prioritize you. Maybe we saw something in you that was always selfish, always calculating. Real love doesn't come with strings attached. The room temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Even Amber looked uncomfortable now, and Derek had the decency to look away. Strings attached. I repeated, my voice shaking with an emotion I couldn't name. Something bigger than anger, deeper than hurt. You think saving your life came with strings attached? You clearly expect something in return, Dad interjected. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I stood there looking at these people, my parents, my siblings, and realized with stunning clarity that I'd been loving ghosts. The family I'd imagined, the parents who cared, the siblings who valued me. None of them existed. They never had. You're right, I said finally, my voice eerily calm. We wouldn't be having this conversation if you'd ever loved me the way you love them. If you'd ever seen me as important, as valuable, as worthy. Here we go again, Mom sighed dramatically. The victim routine. Maya, you're 32 years old. When are you going to stop blaming us for your own inadequacies? That's when something inside me didn't break. It crystallized, hardened into diamond-sharp clarity. I need to know something, I said, pulling out my phone. And I need the truth. Mom, how many treatments do you have left? He blinked, caught off guard. What? Why does that matter? How many? 3 more infusions, she admitted. January, February, and March. Then monitoring appointments quarterly for 5 years. I nodded slowly, calculating. Each infusion costs $22,000. That's $66,000. Plus the monitoring, approximately $8,000 per year for 5 years. We're looking at another $106,000 minimum. What are you doing? Dad asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. I'm being practical, I said. Since I'm not a priority. Since I don't matter. Since my sacrifice means nothing. I looked at each of them. My mother recovering because of my money. My father who'd never once told me he was proud. My sister pregnant with a baby who'd receive more love than I ever had. My brother whose success was praised while mine was dismissed. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice steady and cold. I'm going to walk out that door. I'm going to drive home. And tomorrow morning, I'm calling the hospital billing department and the treatment center. Mom's face went pale. What are you talking about? I'm stopping payment on all future treatments. The 3 remaining infusions? You'll need to figure out how to pay for them yourselves. The monitoring appointments? Not my problem. The medications? Find another source. You can't do that. Dad shouted, jumping to his feet. Those treatments are scheduled. They're necessary. You're absolutely right, Dad. They're necessary. They're necessary to keep Mom alive. Just like the $250,000 I already paid was necessary. But since I'm not a priority, since I don't matter, since my help apparently came with strings attached, I'm removing those strings. This is insane. Derek stepped forward. Mom could die without those treatments. Then I suggest you liquidate your investment portfolio. Or Derek, you could take out loans like I did. Amber, maybe sell that new house. Dad, you mentioned investment properties. Sell one. Problem solved. We can't do that. Amber cried, her hand protectively on her stomach. We have a baby coming. And I had a life planned, I said quietly. A future. Savings. Security. I had dreams of buying a house, starting a family, maybe traveling. I gave all of that up, willingly, without hesitation, to save Mom's life. And you just told me I don't matter enough to be included in your will. Mom's face crumpled. Maya, please. You're upset. You don't mean this. Don't I? I picked up my purse and coat. You said real love doesn't come with strings attached. You're right. But you know what real love also doesn't come with? Disrespect. Dismissal. Disregard. You taught me tonight that I'm not family. I'm a resource. A bank account with a heartbeat. If you do this, you're killing your mother, Dad said, his voice shaking. I turned to look at him and I let him see every ounce of pain they'd caused. No, Dad. If she dies, it's because you killed her. You who decided she wasn't worth selling an investment property for. Derek who has doctor money but student loans are more important. Amber who needs to save for a baby that's not even born yet. Don't you dare walk out that door, Mom said, her voice rising to a shriek. Don't you dare abandon your family. I paused at the doorway, my hand on the frame. The Christmas tree lights twinkled behind them, casting everything in a surreal glow. This should have been a moment of love, of family, of togetherness. Instead, it was the death of every illusion I'd ever held. Abandon my family? I turned back slowly. Mom, you can't abandon people who never claimed you in the first place. You said it yourself. I'm not a priority. You made that abundantly clear. We didn't mean it like that. Amber said, but her voice lacked conviction. We all knew they'd meant exactly that. Yes, you did. And that's okay. You're allowed to have priorities. You're allowed to distribute your assets however you want. And I'm allowed to stop funding those priorities. I pulled my phone out again, my fingers trembling but determined. In fact, let me make this call right now. I want you to see exactly how serious I am. Why, no. Mom lunged forward, but Dad caught her arm. I dialed the hospital's billing department emergency line. Even on Christmas night, someone answered. Hi, yes, this is Maya Johnson. I'm calling about account number 447-923B under Patricia Johnson's name. I need to cancel all future automatic payments and revoke my financial responsibility for any upcoming treatments. Maya. Mom's scream was primal, terrified. Yes, I understand this is unusual. Yes, I'm certain. The patient will need to make alternative payment arrangements immediately. I paused, listening. That's correct. All scheduled treatments starting January 8th. Thank you. Yes, please send me written confirmation. I hung up. The silence in the room was absolute. Even the Christmas music had stopped, the playlist ending at precisely the wrong or right moment. There, I said quietly. It's done. You have 2 weeks to figure out how you're going to pay for the January 8th infusion. I suggest you start making calls. Merry Christmas. You're a monster, Amber whispered, tears streaming down her face. How can you do this? I looked at her, my younger sister who'd always been prettier, smarter, more loved, and felt nothing but tired. I learned from the best. I walked to my car through snow that had started falling again, thick flakes that caught in my hair and melted on my cheeks, mixing with tears I couldn't stop. Behind me, I heard the door burst open. Maya. Maya. Derek ran after me, his dress shoes slipping on the ice. Wait. Just wait. I unlocked my car but didn't get in. What, Derek? What could you possibly say right now? He was breathing hard, his breath fogging in the cold air. You can't do this. She's our mother. Your mother. The woman who gave birth to you raised you. Raised me. I laughed, a hollow sound. She raised you. She raised Amber. I raised myself while trying desperately to earn love that was never going to come. That's not true. Name my favorite color. He blinked. What? My favorite color. Name it. Name my favorite food. My biggest fear. The thing I wanted to be when I was 10 years old. One thing, Derek. Tell me one real thing about me that proves you ever saw me as anything other than the forgettable middle child. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Maya, this isn't fair. No, it's not fair. None of this has ever been fair. But you know what? I'm done caring. I'm done sacrificing. I'm done being invisible while you all shine. I climbed into my car. You're a doctor. You make $300,000 a year. Figure it out. I have loans. And I had savings. Had. Past tense. Because I gave them to save her life. Now it's your turn. If she dies, I'll never forgive you. I looked up at him through the open car door, snowflakes swirling between us. Derek, you've never even noticed me enough to form an opinion worth worrying about. Your forgiveness means nothing to me because your love never meant anything in the first place. I closed the door and started the engine. Through the windshield, I could see Mom collapse on the front porch, Dad holding her up. Amber stood in the doorway, her hand on her stomach, her face pale. I put the car in reverse and drove away. For the first time in 32 years, I didn't look back. For 3 days, my phone didn't stop ringing. Christmas night, 47 missed calls. December 26th, 63. December 27th, 89. They called from every number. Mom's cell, Dad's cell, the house phone, Derek's number, Amber's number, even Marcus and Jennifer's phones. I didn't answer. Not once. The voicemails started desperate. Mom's voice, weak and crying, "Hiya, baby, please. Please pick up. We can talk about this. We can fix this." Dad's voice, angry then pleading, "This is ridiculous. Call us back immediately. Your mother needs you." Then came the manipulation. "Amber, hiya, I'm pregnant. The stress of this is affecting the baby. Do you want that on your conscience?" Derek, I talked to her oncologist. Without the next treatment, she has a 40% chance of relapse within 6 months. Is that what you want? Then came the rage. Messages calling me selfish, cruel, heartless. After everything we've done for you. Dad screamed in one voicemail. What had they done exactly? I couldn't remember. On December 28th, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Dr. Harrison, your mother's oncologist. I understand there's been a misunderstanding about payment for ongoing treatment. Can we schedule a call?" I typed back, "No misunderstanding. Patient needs to arrange her own payment. She has family who've assured me they're her priority. They can prioritize her treatment costs." His response came quickly. "Ms. Johnson, I understand family dynamics can be complex, but your mother's life is in the hands of people who value her more than they value me. Surely that's worth $106,000 to them." He didn't respond again. That evening my aunt, Mom's sister who I'd barely spoken to in years, called. I answered curious. "Maya? Oh honey, your mom called me crying. She told me you've abandoned her in her time of need. How could you? Did she tell you I paid $250,000 for her treatment already? Did she mention that part?" Silence. Then, what? "Did she tell you they removed me from there because I'm not a priority compared to Derek and Amber?" More silence. "Maya, I didn't know. No one ever knows. Because I'm the invisible one. Always have been." I hung up. It's been 6 months since that Christmas dinner. Mom didn't get her January treatment. Or February's. Or March's. The cancer came back aggressive and fast, just like Dr. Harrison warned. She lasted 4 months. I didn't go to the funeral. People called me a monster. Family members I hadn't seen in decades came out of the woodwork to tell me I was evil, heartless, cruel. Derek gave a eulogy where he talked about how Mom died because her own daughter abandoned her. Amber's baby was born 2 months after Mom passed. A girl they named Patricia, after the grandmother who died because of me. That's the story they tell anyway. The story where I'm the villain. But here's the truth they don't mention. In those 4 months, not once did Derek, Amber, or Dad liquidate anything to pay for treatment. They had options. They chose not to use them. Dad still has his investment properties. Derek still has his savings intact. Amber still has her house. They could have saved her. They chose not to. But I'm the one who gets blamed. I moved to another state. Changed my number. Started over completely. I'm rebuilding my savings slowly. I'm in therapy, working through 32 years of trauma, learning that my worth isn't tied to how much I can give. Some nights I lie awake wondering if I'm a monster. If I really killed my mother. If blood should be thicker than the pain they caused. But then I remember, you're not a priority. I remember the way they looked at me when they said it. The casual cruelty. The genuine belief that I deserved less because I'd never be what they wanted. I didn't kill my mother. I just stopped dying for people who were already planning my funeral. And somehow I'm learning that maybe that's not the same thing. Maybe choosing yourself isn't murder. Maybe it's the first act of self-love I'd ever managed. Maybe I'm not a monster. Maybe I'm just a woman who finally understood that you can't save people who don't value you. You can only save yourself. I don't know if I made the right choice. I'll probably never know. But I do know this. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still fighting for a life that's finally mine. And that has to count for something. Even if I'm the only one who believes it. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? How do you set boundaries with people who refuse to see your worth? Let's talk about it.